Well, that was the chaotic and terrifying scene at Brussels International Airport this morning, where at least 2 explosions have killed 16 people. A separate attack killed 15 more in a Brussels subway station, as officials say an emergency operation at the airport has ended and a lockdown within the city is now over. To discuss it all, we want to welcome Gabriele Steinhauser, a Brussels-based reporter for the Wall Street Journal, joins us now by phone. And Gabriele, again, I know you just left a briefing with the airport's CEO. What did you learn there?
Well, the CEO told us just now that several terrorists flew themselves up in the check-in area this morning here at Brussels Airport. Later in the afternoon, a bomb squad detonated a third bomb that had been planted in the airport, but which didn't explode this morning. So that probably saved a few people's lives that thing didn't go off. He also said that both passengers and airport personnel were among the victims, and that they haven't been able to really assess the damages to the building, and they don't know when the airport will reopen.
You know, we had heard that there was a Kalashnikov assault rifle next to the body of an attacker and an unused explosive belt. You mentioned another bomb was detonated. Do we know, was that bomb the unused belt? Are there more abilities to hurt people? Did they find more ammunition within the airport?
I don't have details on that. It could be that the vest that you're mentioning was that third bomb. I imagine it's just an explosive device that they found. They didn't go into details of what that was. The airport is now fully evacuated, apart from investigators and security forces. They've had a good 9 hours now since the blast initially went off. So hopefully they will have found any explosives that were still there. They will have found them by now.
And Gabriele, I want to ask as well, you mentioned that the CEO said that several terrorists blew themselves up. We have seen some closed-circuit camera footage provided to us by VTN of 3 men, allegedly the attackers in question. So I do, again, just want to pin you down here. Several meaning 3 or more?
He didn't give a number, but indeed federal police here just released a photograph from an airport security camera that showed 3 men with luggage carts.
What did he say about security moving forward? I mean, I'm sure that's really the question a lot of people at this press conference were asking. They were at the departure gates, so we all know that area traditionally doesn't have any security. Did he hint at immediate changes, things that would even happen as soon as the airport reopens?
He didn't mention that, no. He did point out that that was the general situation at European airports, where people aren't checked when they enter the departure area.
So as the lockdown lifts now in the city of Brussels, what's the mood there of the people on the streets?
Well, I've been outside the airport all day, but from what I'm hearing from my colleagues and my friends, and what I can also imagine, is that, of course, people are worried. The lockdown has now been lifted, so people are allowed to leave their offices. Parents are going to pick up their children from school. But I think especially the attack on the metro station, of course, really rattled people. And there are also, we don't know if any attackers are maybe still at large.
Is public transportation running at this point? You mentioned people right now are just trying to resume with their day-to-day lives, pick up kids, make sure loved ones are all right. How are they getting around there right now?
Yes, ground transport reopened about an hour and a half ago, as did the 2 metro lines that weren't affected. So Brussels has 4 metro lines, but 2 of them each run kind of in parallel. So 2 of these metro lines went through the station where they had the explosion this morning, but the other 2 lines are now reopened.
Gabriele, this all now comes against the backdrop of what has certainly been happening in Europe, dating back even just to the Paris attacks of mid-November. Brussels, Belgium, this is a city that was on lockdown in late November and has certainly been on edge ever since. Given that, and given the fact that Salah Abdeslam was arrested just last Friday, the purported mastermind, or one of them, of the attacks in Paris, how is it that this was able to be pulled off with the level of coordination that we've seen just 4 days later?
Well, it obviously shows that there's a large network, and that security forces and intelligence and police haven't really gotten their hands around who exactly is involved in this network. we also have to keep in mind that, Europe is large. It has a lot of cities, and Brussels is a big city, and you can't keep tabs on everybody, and people are moving around. About 60,000 people would have flown in and out of Brussels airport today. You can't just shut that down preemptively. And they did that. They did lock the city down for 4 days in November, and nothing happened. And the politicians and security forces were very harshly criticized for maybe overreacting to the threat at the time.
Gabriele Steinhauser with the Wall Street Journal, we appreciate your time.